You're welcome once again to the Purposeful Professional with Hashem. This is our third episode for those that have been following me. Yes, Purposeful Professional is still a baby. We are still growing, but we are growing, right? We are not where we were as at when we started. And we are definitely moving, and I'm very sure that we are not stopping anytime soon. So, yes, in the first episode, we talked about career identity. Where we talk about discovery, self discovery, identifying what you know how to do, and being good at it, like your craft, investing in your craft. Then in the second episode, that's where we talked about building a strong professional brand. We're able to give tips on building a strong professional brand. Then you'll be surprised that most of the things that we talked about, or that we'll be talking about, is still about, like, most likely the same kind of skills. On that note, we would also be talking about today something that is deeper than the previous two that we talked about. We'll be talking about redefining professionalism. How do we redefine professionalism? What is professionalism? I'm sure you will agree with me that professionalism, when you say somebody is being professional or that person is a professional, it means the person is actually good at his job. When you say an HR professional, does talk about any part of any HR function, that person can deliver. A L&D expert, if you talk about anything L&D, that person will deliver. That means the person is a professional, right? A professional meets deadlines. A professional follows instructions. A professional is always staying out of trouble, following the do's and the don'ts of the organization. That's what a typical professional is. And a professional gets the job done. That's what a typical professional is. Now, don't get me wrong. All of these things still matter because, yes, you cannot even sit at the leadership table if you cannot meet up with all of these requirements. That's certain. However, in the current world of work, these things, they are no longer enough. You see, the qualities that I've itemized, you being good at your job, you meeting up with deadlines, you following the company's policies and procedures, the cultural alignment, they are no longer enough. It is beyond being professional. So let me quickly drop this. That today's workplace rewards not just execution, but impact, visibility, and leadership readiness. I'll take that again. So today's workplace, they no longer reward execution. All the policies that I've actually mentioned earlier is aimed at executing a particular task. But what's your impact? How well do you influence? What leadership influence do you have? What leadership skill do you have? How visible are you? How well do you communicate? How do you carry yourself? These are things that will now make impact beyond the skills you have. So that's why I said professionalism alone, you being good at what you do, is no longer enough in the current world of work. I'll just make you through something. So now let's look at it. We know that there are many competent people who will never become leaders. All of us cannot become leaders. In a group of people, somebody would have been singled out for the leadership role that will lead others. Definitely, that person has one thing that others do not have, that has made that person qualified for that position. Don't forget that the others, they don't lack the skill. Of course, they have the skill. That's why they are in the first place. They were employed. They have the skill. They can deliver on their job. But there's something extra that they do not possess, which that one person has that has made that person qualified for a leadership role. So in today's workplace, your growth, it depends on how you think, it depends on how you communicate, it depends on how you influence, it depends on how you show up under pressure. Perhaps, okay, the last episode I talked about accountability, if you would recall. Perhaps when they talk about a problem, just pull aside and they are waiting for instruction on what to do. But that one person would say, okay, why not let us do it this way? Immediately, this critical thinking come into place, right? He's able to say, he might not have the precise solution, but he was able to take initiative. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Now, what does that tell you? Every other person has the same technical skill. But one person said, no, let's do this. And that's only means one thing. Your technical skills we get you into the room. Your technical skills will get you the job. But it does not guarantee you a seat at the leadership table. That table, something must single you out. There's a story that is coming to my mind that I actually want to talk about, but let's take it a step at a time. I don't want to be too forward. I jotted down something here where I talked about four pillars of the current professionalism. What works now, not what it was before. Currently, what is going to work? What AI cannot take away from you? What AI cannot give? I'm sure you understand. In fact, the funniest thing is the way we talk about AI now, AI will do this, AI will do this, but there are some things that AI cannot do. But there are so many things. So how well are you grooming yourself in those other things that should stand you out from just doing your usual task or from just having your regular skills? The first one here is your foundation. Of course, your foundation, okay, there are four pillars. So let me just quickly summarize them. I have the foundation pillar, I have the multiplier pillar, I have the differentiator pillar, and I have the accelerator pillar. I'm going to be explaining what each of these mean. Now, what's the foundation pillar? The foundation pillar is your competence. Don't forget I said your skill will get you into the role. That's your competence. That's your skill. You must be good at your job. You must be able to deliver results. You must understand your role. You must be reliable. That last sentence, it's silent, yet very loud. You must be reliable. They must be able to count on you that Oluwaseun will deliver. She can deliver this. For you to deliver results, of course, you know what that means. You must have honed your skills, groom yourself, master your craft to be able to deliver. Then there must be clarity in your role. You must understand your role. What does my job entails? Why am I here? What am I doing to make my impact? How am I contributing my own content? Then you must be reliable. Now, don't forget, like I said, that's what gets you into the role. So what does that mean? Competence is just like an entry requirement. It's an entry requirement. We are now talking about sustainability, the long-term value. So your competence will only get you into the room. That gives you access, but it will not differentiate you from other people. It will not. Now let me take it a step down. The multiplier pillar, the multiplier factor. What is that thing that will now multiply your impact, your value? That's communication. How well do you explain ideas? Do you explain ideas clearly for others to comprehend? Do you present your ideas, maybe during meetings or even via mails? Do you present your ideas confidently? When you want to give initiative and you are stuttering, or they ask you for the question and it doesn't appear like you know what you're doing or you know what you're saying, people will take you to be an unserious person. But when you are able to give ideas confidently, don't forget that giving ideas confidently is come from the place of knowledge. So you don't stop learning. You see that everything is actually interconnected. One thing leads to the other. You cannot give from an empty cup, right? You don't give what you don't have. I tell people that work with me like every time, you don't give what you don't have. So before you can see, you can give ideas or give initiative with your head held up high, that means you know what you're doing. You are coming from the place of knowledge. Then, how well are you able to engage stakeholders? Proper engagements. Have feedback. Give, have proper conversation with stakeholders. I'm not necessarily saying physically, but you must be able to engage your stakeholders to get their bits, to get their buy-ins on ideas. Then we would say that your communication is making impact. So you have gradually moved from the position of competence or foundation level to the multiplier level. Now, sincerely, in today's world, many professionals are overlooked, not because they don't have the skills, but because they know the work but cannot communicate the value. And when you cannot communicate the value you are bringing to the table, I'm sorry, you will soon be set aside. Now, that takes me to the first pillar, which I call the differentiator, right? And what am I calling the differentiator? Hmm. Your emotional intelligence level as a professional. Okay, you and I understand that, okay, you have a boss that when you have problem, you can easily approach that boss with your problem. The boss is not saying, he's not shutting you down. He's not saying, don't you have sense? Can't you use your discretion? It's not making you feel less of yourself. Rather, he said, okay, what's the problem you have? Okay, why not look at this? What have you done to solve it? He's trying to push you, motivate you, yes, give you a solution. Then you have another boss that when you go to, they say, so you can't do this, just this simple thing. You cannot even think about it. You cannot give proper solution. Who would you approach? Boss A or boss B? You already know the answer. Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to be listened to. Everyone wants to be seen. So when you have a boss that does not give you this, you are not going to that boss. But when you have a boss that is going to give you this, of course, you are approaching such boss for your for comfort, for to give you a sense of belonging, to give you to improve your commitment. Now, can you manage pressure? When the pressure comes, do you find yourself shaky? How do you handle feedback? Be it positive or constructive criticism or even the negative feedback. How do you handle that? How do you navigate conflicts? How do you manage grievances? Because the thing is, you may not be happy with something. How do you present yourself? How do you work with difficult personalities around you? Do you understand them from one person to the other? And do you try to manage them on each personality level per personality? Because even as a leader, you must understand your team members, they are all not the same. You'll have to deal with each of them on their uh, by understanding each person's personality and you deal with them accordingly. If you have been in such situation and while handling them, don't forget that people are watching. The way you handle situations, the way you handle conflict, the way you handle um, people's personalities, the way you handle pressure speaks volume, right? So people are watching. And No organization wants to put anyone in a leadership position that cannot manage people. Because we need you to have this skill to be able to manage people. Because there will always be somebody that is very difficult in your team. Why you will always have somebody that is very understanding in your team as well. So now it's not just about the task. You see, for the task, the skill will make you, of course, deliver on the task. But the people that will carry out the task, you must manage them well for them to be able to deliver the task. I've been in a situation where I work to someone and each time I get the call, the person was my boss. Each time I get a call from this person, sincerely, I cannot pick it. I'm always fidgeting. I would have thought of 1001 things that I've done wrong that could make her. And eventually, maybe that's not even why she called me, but because of the fear she has created, I cannot approach her and say, I have a problem. Because in the past, each time I go to her and say, there's a situation, she'll shut you down and be like, how did you become HR? How did you even get to this level? Who were the people on your panel? Who interviewed you? You start second guessing yourself immediately. You start thinking in your mind, like, is it true that you don't even know this? You start questioning your skills. Now, such person in a leadership position, imagine the impact it has on the team. And the first thing is, she was showing love and affection to another team member. And I started asking, what am I doing wrong? That she's not communicating, that she's not saying. And it became a very big problem for me. The day she left the system, I was happy. I was very, very happy. So, like I said, we need leaders that can manage people. That is not just about delivering on tasks. You must be able to manage the people that will deliver the task. Understand your team. Take feedback with an objective mind, with an open mind, and address it accordingly. Now, so the last pillar that I would like to talk about because of our time is the accelerator pillar, the accelerator factor. I'm always excited when I'm talking about this because it's one thing that most people neglect, but it's something that should be highly considered. And what am I talking about? Executive presence. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak in meetings, the way you dress, the way you think, the way you respond under pressure. It carries volume. Your charisma, your aura. When people look at it all put all together, the question is, can this person represent leadership? So sometime my boss said, my boss was given an award and he said, Oluwashin, you'll be going there to represent me. For him to say you will be going there to represent me, do you know what that means? Receiving the award on his behalf. He has been able to like evaluate you. He has done an assessment. He knows that you can represent him well. So now let's I said a lot of things. Let's just look at make it look a bit practical. Now, two employees. I have employee A, I have employee B. One is very technically strong and sound. One delivers on the job. One is and is also quiet and he avoids the limelight. Yes, I have employee B. Is equally competent, communicates clearly, speaks in meetings, engages leadership from time to time, and demonstrates confidence. Please, who do you think will get promoted? And I have both employees in a team, in the same team. It's so far fetched. So now it's not because the employee B is more intelligent. No, it's just because employee B is a more complete professional in today's world of work than employee A. So if you want to grow, you must upgrade yourself intentionally. I mentioned four pillars: the foundation pillar, the multiplier pillar, the differentiator pillar, the accelerator pillar. Look at it all together. Upgrade yourself, your communication style, your visibility. Visibility, everybody's talking about visibility. Your presence, your thinking, Do courses on communication. So many courses. Check LinkedIn Learning, check Allinson, check Udemy, check Coursera. Courses on communication, on critical thinking, on executive presence, on visibility. But mind you, don't just limit yourself to theoretical learning. When you learn, whatever you learn, bring it back home. How do I make an impact? I've learned this. Okay, can I try this out? That's how you improve. That's how you grow. Else, you just be limited to the theoretical learning. Now, let me leave you with this. Many careers are not limited by opportunity at all. They are limited by professional maturity. You don't rise because you've stayed long. You rise because you've grown enough. Okay. So let me quickly bring this to a close. So professionalism is no longer about doing your job well, like I mentioned. It's about becoming someone the organization can trust more, with more responsibility, with more visibility, and with more leadership. Thank you very much. See you again on the next episode on The Purposeful Professional with Eloashir.